These are my friends. Come along with me. See how the story ends. We are some hippies. These are my friends. Come along with me. See how the story ends.
Burn, baby, burn. You're supposed to hit him with the Disco Inferno. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Professional Hippies. We missed you so much.
So much. Y'all, the past couple of weeks, all of you have been on our mind. The only thing on our mind.
The only thing. We miss you guys so much. And hey, if you are new to our herd, welcome. We are your shepherds. Just kidding. We're your God. Anyway, we're the Professional Hippies. We like to bridge the gap somewhere between professionalism and the woo. And today we have such an exciting episode. And we're not just saying that. Like, dude, the crazy amount, not just like the Burning Man stuff. You're going to see that from the title, right? Burning Man, whatever. But just the amount of craziness we went through the last couple of weeks.
Just to get there, just to get back, just to enjoy it there. The recovery. I don't know.
It has been unreal. So we're gonna get into, of course, what happened there. I have so many people ask me so many questions. So we've got all your questions. We're gonna fill you guys in on that stuff. But man, do we have just so many funny stories and exciting things to share with you guys. Lessons. I mean, you name it, dude.
I think I could write a book of the amount of lessons just on the way there. The amount of lessons that we got.
Yeah, man. So first off, hey, thank you guys for just sticking in it with us while building this community, building this podcast. And I mean, I can speak for myself, but I think I speak for you too, buddy, when we say like that was... What did we say when we went to Redbox and we saw that concert? This is what it feels like to check off a bucket list item.
I just remember standing in the middle of the playa. I'm like, getting that feeling of, there's that feeling. Checking that box.
There it is.
Off. There it is.
There it is. There it is.
Just right in the middle of a sandstorm as blowing into my face, going across the playa on a little bit of substance. And I was like, oh, there it is.
Yeah, I mean, it was like seeing one of the 40 shooting stars that you saw. You're just like,
they were everywhere. I don't know how I kept seeing those.
I mean, I saw 4 or 5. I think one of us is probably watching the road more than the other. You'd be like, dude, check out the shooting star. I'm like, hey, don't hit that cow on the road. You're like, I
couldn't help it. It's fine. They're on through.
So, where do we start?
Dude, let's start from first off, just getting the thing ready, right. We couldn't find an RV, right? We searched for weeks on end to try to rent an RV. And every time we tried to rent an RV, everyone would be like, where are you going? Burning Man, F off. We don't want, I guess all the rentals to be able to find one were already taken by the time we get all the way to freaking like Austin. These RVs were taken. So if you went like a good, 3 states around Nevada, did the full circle all the way down to even LA, all the RVs were taken.
And if they weren't, it was just like, for one example, I mean, we combed the areas looking for an RV, and the ones that we did find, or that I found, that were viable options, one of the owners reached back out and was like, hey, by the way, I just want to make sure you're taking it to Burning Man. I was like, yeah, we are. And they're like, oh, cool, we have an add-on package. Just need you to select that during checkout. And I was like, okay, cool. They said it so nonchalantly. And this is a run-of-the-mill, nothing fancy RV, right? We're already going to pay him $3,000. The add-on package for Burning Man, it looked like a feature where you're like, oh yeah, I want Bose speakers in my car, sure. $4,000, they're like, oh yeah, just don't forget your Burning Man package, $4,000, and I'm like, nothing changed. It's not like they're like, hey, we're going to put on special tires for you, get new shoes. It's nothing different. There's
break down, it's your fault. Good luck.
So, finding an RV.
Finding an RV, right? So obviously that went out the window, and thank goodness you took it upon yourself to be like, screw it, I'm just going to buy one. we'll make it work, right? And so you already had it teed up to do that, thankfully. And so you went out and bought one. And so I think you did. How long before we went on like from the day we left? It was what, 2 weeks?
2 weeks,
bought
yeah.
It?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And for those 2 weeks, all I saw was you working on things while I enjoyed buying things on Amazon to get ready for the trip. And I just kept seeing your posts working on the machine to get it ready.
Well, yeah, even taking a moment there. So when it came down to it, I mean, I had special plans for when we're at Burning Man, and we'll get into that. But this trip had to happen. And not just from our vantage point of like, this is a bucket list. We've been gearing up. We got tickets like 3 weeks before, because everyone said like, hey, you either have a sweet spot of getting everything together like 6 months before, where everything in the groups, Reddit, forums, etc. is like, hey, people will drop out. Plans fall through. And we saw that in an amazing way. Like the days before, how many people really did.
We were getting prepped for Burning Man before we even had the tickets.
Months before.
Like, we were like, it's better to have everything prepped and ready to go and then get the tickets than to just get the tickets and then try to fill everything in.
Like that faith is real. Like, I mean,
100%.
You hear that. And I'm telling all of you guys, if you want to go next year, your chances of getting a ticket from the official site are less than 1%. I mean, they're abysmal. Yeah, it's the tickets sell out in like 40 seconds.
40 seconds, maybe less. I don't even know. It was ridiculous.
Don't press refresh, apparently. Yeah. So we a great farmer always prepares for rain, right? So we're like, hey, we are going. And then when the RV thing came, I was like, dude, we got to have an RV. So I was like, fuck it. I went to my bank and I was like, my thought process, buy it, go use it, clean it up, resell it. And then I'm on the door, I find an RV, pretty solid deal. And the bank was like, oh, by the way, it's going to take 7 to 10 business days because you're out of state. And I was like, fuck you guys. I was like, what if I just buy it and then I'll refinance it through you guys? And I'm like, oh, okay, guess you could do that. Yeah, like I'm not buying an RV as an investment. So it's like, okay, sure, whatever. So buy the RV, things working, get it to the storage unit. Hey, let's go take it on a test run next weekend, go camping. I just changed the radio and it stops working. Cue the feeling of dread. This is 10 days out. Nothing's working.
We're talking, when you say nothing's working, we're talking engine. Like nothing. Yeah. The engine is not working.
So, I call a dozen mechanics. I got full blown work. I'm gearing up to leave for 2 weeks because I've been at a retreat this week as well, following off Burning Man. Call all these mechanics. A couple of them commit. No one's showing up. So my brother's mechanically inclined. Your brother happens to be a mechanical genius, as we'll find out.
Shout out, little bro.
Praise be to that man, Tyler. So, we'll go through the fixes, but off the jump, I mean, I had to learn how to replace a fuel pump assembly, fuel filter, the spark plugs, the wire harness, distributor cap, ignition coil, fuel relays, and several other fuses later. The night before Dylan arrived, so 2 nights before Burning Man, got it cranked and running. And that is when we knew, hey, there is hope yet.
Yeah.
So that in itself, man, I mean, God, I feel like my nervous system almost needs like a breather after that, just like reliving that experience.
Because there was once we got the tickets, once we got the RV, there was no turning it back. It was like, we have to go. We have to make it here. Now everything is falling into place too nicely at that moment to be like, we got to get there.
Got to get there. So after we get the thing running, Dylan comes into town the next day. So we're Thursday, right?
Yeah.
So you fly in Thursday, had a couple things we had to clean up, right? You helped me go over there. And at this point, it's like, hey, the thing's running. So we just had to go up and I had to like put the brains back together. That Friday, let's get on the road, right?
Yeah.
Let's get on the road. We want to be at Burning Man by Sunday? We're like, yeah, let's get there Saturday night, Sunday.
Let's get there outside the city Saturday. Let's camp.
Maybe go to Vegas, gamble a little bit.
Maybe, yeah, we get to Vegas even the night before. Let's get like some fun time in, and we'll go in Sunday. It'll be a great time. Like we'll be set up for Burning Man. Everyone else is getting there. The vibes are great.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
Sure. So what was the first thing to go wrong?
If we had a just a thing just where everything's going down, we're like, the vibes are great, and then everything goes down.
It felt like a trip, didn't it? Like quintessentially,
Like
it was a
if you
trip.
were to hit a bad trip, all of a sudden, everything positivity, all of a sudden, something out of left field comes and slaps you in the face. You know,
I think it was the generator. The generator is what we had the most problems with.
the generator
on the way
was
out there.
the generator was definitely the first thing to start, right? Because we get it going. Well, no. What it was, because I don't think you really tested it out much, right? Because you wanted to just focus, get the engine going.
Yeah.
So we get everything packed up and loaded to go. We get our picture, going out picture, which everyone saw, we posted. And then we go, and then the first thing, because Abby went with us, you know, your now fiance, she went with us, right? And so we get the first little thing. I'm hot. Oh. Okay. Well, we got to turn on the air condition, right?
We got a central AC, baby.
We got to
No
we got to
worries.
turn this on. All
Turn
right,
it on.
cool. How do we
Yeah.
do that? All right, it's not the front part. We got to turn on the generator.
Yeah.
Boom, and it starts, and then not 30 seconds later, it shuts right down.
Sure did.
So we got to pull over, and we're like, all right, what's going on? And we're checking that sucker. It's doing its whole thing. And
Accurate sound. Yeah. Yeah. That's about what
then
it sounded like.
I think we checked the oil first, and then we open it up, and that oil is black.
I tell you what, that
bubbly.
looks like the oil that comes out of the earth.
Yeah, that looked like I don't know if
Crude.
anyone ever saw Lost Before Time when they were younger, and there was that like black goop that they were always afraid of. That's exactly what it looked like, and it was
Terrible.
boiling out, and and I was like, I don't think that's supposed to look like that. And we
Sure
were
wasn't.
starting to look up manuals and everything. We got it going again, and we're like, all right, cool. And then it shut down. I don't know, probably 20 minutes later. And so, that's our first problem.
So the generator was the first problem, and we don't have to like go get too far in the weeds on all the problems, right? Because that'd be a lot for us to even relive. But the generator was a host of problems in itself, and let's just say, hey, we had a chance to get intimate with multiple AutoZones in every single state on the way to Nevada.
I think we totaled 10 AutoZones.
On the way there? Or,
On the way
yeah, on the
there.
way. On the way
Just
there.
on
yeah.
the way to Burning Man. I think
Yeah.
we totaled amount of 10 AutoZones.
So when we got the generator dialed in, we're good, right? We're trucking along at this point.
Oh yeah, by the way, we changed the oil and we changed the spark plug. And it turns out that can get you a long way if you actually make an engine, run smoothly. Even though
Give
it's
her
an
what
old
she
one.
needs.
Just give her what she needs,
That's
Like,
it.
we didn't change the carburetor, we didn't change the fuel injector. We probably should have changed those, but give her a nice oil change. We changed the oil twice. That's how bad it was. We changed the oil the first time. It ran through the system, picked up all the more gunk it left behind. Then we had to change it again. And then
By the way, we ended up changing the oil four
times throughout the trip, and we changed the spark plug 2 times or 3
Twice.
times. Twice
Yeah.
throughout the trip. Yeah,
Yeah, so 3 total spark plugs.
we had to call an AutoZone on the way before they closed to try to get the parts that we needed to do that, and then we got there.
One of them was closed, and we had them stash the parts around the back of the building.
Had those stashed up parts behind the building. Shout out John, I think, at the random AutoZone that we stopped at. I
I think it was John out of Albuquerque.
Albuquerque.
Albuquerque
Thank you, John,
AutoZone.
at the AutoZone Albuquerque. And,
You're one of the few people I would regard not as a fucking idiot at AutoZone.
One of the few. What the hell is going on at AutoZones? I know.
I
we're
don't
in
know.
a
I think
labor-
Hungry Howie's an AutoZone exchange of employees on a frequent basis.
I know we're in a labor shortage, but I know there's plenty of guys that know how to work on cars that should have a job.
That God bless you, ain't lying. Anyway, so I think another highlight moment. So we moved past that, right? And we're trying to get to Vegas because the night before, I called up my buddy Joe and I was like, "Hey man, I forgot to take my name off the list. If a ticket becomes available officially through Burning Man, it'll automatically purchase it. So you have your credit card info and it just jumps on it for you." So I ended up getting an extra ticket and I was like, "Hey, I could sell this, but let's give somebody a trip to Disney. Why
it.
not?"
Gift
That
it
feels
to
good.
somebody.
So Joe's meeting us in Vegas. You're like, "Hey," he's like, "I got to work." I'm like, "How firm is work?" And he's like, "You know what? Certain things can move." And so it turns out you give your paycheck to somebody, they'll be willing to take it. So we're on the way to Vegas trying to meet up with Joe there. And mind you, we had lost so much time already. We're like, man, we just gotta get to Vegas. And where was our next big problem?
Well, the next big problem was So I was driving at the time. It was my shift at that time. And to kind of give you a little bit of a mindset here, folks, the engine for this, if I'm in the driver's seat, right, and then Colton's in the passenger seat.
If you're flying a B-62 bomber,
engine is right in the middle between us, and there's a nice big cover over that. Perfect. I mean, it's really nice to be able to work on it. It's right
actually
there. Just
is.
give you an idea of where this thing is at. So we're going
like one of
down
them
the road,
90s minivans.
and everything's just going great. We're in hunky dory. The air conditions working. Abby's
Stars are
happy, chilling in
out.
the back. We're like, stars are out, and it's
That's
beautiful.
beautiful.
And I think you said something, right? Of like, man, we're going up this hill. You know, it would be weird if I wonder what a flat tire would sound like if we went out. All of a sudden, the center console decides to make a loud boom sound and lift up just occasionally, and then it sounds like it was. At first, it sounded like a tire went out. Then it sounded like the engine blew a gasket.
Got violent.
Violent, real quick, and we were just so happy to be going up a hill, out in the middle of nowhere, 40 miles outside.
Boom,
of,
boom, boom, boom.
just outside, 40 miles outside of Vegas, and
Of all the
That's-
places. Of
all the
all the places.
right next to the Hoover Dam.
Right next to the Hoover Dam.
Beautiful. It was like,
I mean,
this is great.
Now, granted, all the blood left our faces.
All
so
the blood. So we pull
I have never
over.
been more certain that a piston has shot through the engine block and was near to my jugular. I mean, that noise was so violent. And
It sounded like it too when we were going. Like it's just creeping up the boom, 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 boom. We're like, we definitely blew something.
I mean, we're past. In my mind, we're so shot out because we've been driving through the night. Every time we're trying to make up time, right? Just taking shifts. I was so past fuck this because, mind you, at this point, I'm 11 days deep on fixing fucking problems with this thing.
I went outside the door, I think, and just I had to get outside that RV after that. And I just walked back by the RV and just stared up to the sky.
I
Look at
was
those
so
stars.
close at turning the propane on that motherfucker and just letting it go. Oh man, I've been so ready to watch my money burn. So we call your brother, and thanks to the time change,
Nice 4 a.m. I think where he was at or something.
I think it was a little later. It might have been 5. It was about 6 o'clock by the time we were done with him. But yeah, dude, that guy's such a genius. He was like, hey, let me hear the sound, and
To the point we held up the phone to. He goes, let me hear it. We held up the phone, and we're thinking the worst, right? Like,
this
you blew
is
it.
code
That's
black.
code black. We held a thing. He was like, oh yeah, like something happened with the spark plug. Just sounds like it blew out or something. Just need to put it
Check
back
it,
in and
sure as
tighten it
shit.
down. You'll be good. And we're like,
Yeah.
what? Excuse me?
Spark plug light. He's like, let me hear that again. Yeah, it sounds like you got a blown out spark plug. And looking sure as shit. Okay, crank that bitch back in, and here we are, heading off. But then, what? It's still on the phone with him because he's making sure everything's good. 5
10
minutes
minutes
later,
later.
we get a check engine
minutes
or
later.
battery light, something like that. Somewhere in this process, we fried an alternator belt. So we fixed one problem. Now we got a new problem, and we're 36 miles outside of Vegas where we're going.
Still
He's like,
going towards Vegas. We're not stopped. We're now moving towards
now
Vegas.
we can't stop. We quite
Now
literally
it
cannot
goes-
stop.
If you
So-
turn this thing off, it will not start back up.
We weren't
again.
even certain. He was flabbergasted at how the fuck it was still running.
He
He's
could
like,
not believe it. Your battery says 0, but you're still
nothing.
going down the road. Is your air
still
conditioner
got lights,
working?
still got
Works.
everything. But I think
He's
that was
like-
something to do with the RV system, right? Like the house
Yeah.
batteries somehow were kicking in for something.
He goes,
So-
do not turn off your RV or you are not starting it again. So we have
We couldn't even stop at a stoplight. Remember that part?
could stop at a stoplight. We literally had to make it. And then, so I booked a hotel for the night because I was like, we need a hotel. We need we need a shower. We just need somewhere outside this RV. So I booked a hotel for all of us. Turns out the hotel is on, if you come off the highway, it's on the direct other side of Vegas from the RV, right? So, from the interstate. So we have to now make it to this hotel
By the
without
strip.
stopping the RV or turning it off or anything. Or if we do, the whole thing shuts off. And so you did an amazing job.
Talk about special operation hotel. I mean,
Yeah.
we are
Just gotta get there.
timing the red lights and green lights, you know? So it's like if you see a strip of green lights come on, you got to gun it, you got to get through them. Could have given a fuck about any kind of speed limit or slow limit for that matter. So
Whatever.
had to just find a way to not bring mini Winnie the Brave all the way to a stop. So I'd had to time it, and sure as shit, we get to the parking lot, put it in park. Done.
Done.
So what are we at? Nuts, 5 in the morning at this time?
5 in the morning. I think we went under it just to check what was going on, and it turns out we blew the belt that goes to the air compressor, the alternator, and something else. I don't know. Oh, the fan.
Yeah.
Which was amazing because the air conditioner was still cold, but the belt for the air compressor blew. And
that alone defies science. Just
how that happened, who knows?
No idea. And by the way, Dylan figured out somehow our max AC would blow hot air, but the normal AC would blow crispy cold air.
I don't know how.
That's another wrinkle in the fold here, folks. We're moving here. Okay, so we're getting where we're going. So Dylan and I get all of 5 hours sleep. Joe shows up, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, full of energy, and I've never tried so hard not to crush someone's hopes and dreams of not seeing a friend for a year.
Yeah, I love him. He showed up wide-eyed, like super excited. We got him excited for Burning Man, but we came in that so tired. He was like, "How can I help?" And I just went, "Shut the fuck up." You know how someone's energy is just way higher than yours, and you're just down trying to solve problems. You're like, I can't. Your energy is way farther than mine. I love him, and I loved him the whole entire trip. It was just like, I am,
and that's nothing to do with him. It could have been anybody.
Could have been anybody. I mean,
could have been
Jeff Bezos could have been like, "I'll give you $1 million a side." I've been like, "Shut the fuck up, Jeff. Don't want to talk to you at all right now."
I don't know if we got any sleep in Albuquerque. We did. We got 5 hours in Albuquerque, and then so now we're at 6 a.m. and we're like, "Hey, so we got another 5 hours. Wake up around noon." And we'll fast forward through this part and just mention how it sucked. We had to go to 4 or 5 AutoZones to find the right belt.
Find the belt. So yeah, it's find the right belt. What we mean by that is this is an old model of an engine and chassis, and so it took going to one AutoZone and then finding out that we had to go to another specific AutoZone because they had the belts that we had. So we went and got the belts for that specific one, and then it turns out the side we thought we were like, okay, we'll go ahead and change the other belt. There's another belt for this.
It was just top to bottom.
Turns out we already had that wrong belt, and then we needed to go. We called around, and there was only one place in town that had that other belt that we needed, and we had 3, and then we wiped them out of them.
Honest God, so in total we're probably about 9 belts. I don't even know which ones are the right ones. We got them; they're there.
Took all day. We started this at 12, and I think we got back on the road at 9 o'clock at night.
And most all of that was just trying to find the right belt. So we deal with that bullshit all day. Abby wants to sleep, get some good sleep, but we're looking at time calculations now. And the other factor we had working against us is that we didn't want to push it too hard. So we didn't really want to do 75. Sometimes we would, like downhill, but you didn't know what you were working with. You don't want to strain too bad. So we're doing like 68, 70. So we were losing minutes on the GPS as well. So we're like, hey, man, let's just push on through. So now we're leaving Vegas, heading to the Playa. And that's
9 o'clock on Saturday.
Yeah, that was a lot of hours there. So we push on through that. And before we get to the good stuff here, the last stop was we ended up changing the battery as well. And
was that Sunday? Was that Sunday we were in Vegas? We left Vegas.
Okay.
I think so. Yeah, that was Sunday we left Vegas because then we pushed through. We didn't stop anywhere else. Did we stop in Reno? Yeah, we did stop in Reno. So it was Saturday, and then Sunday we got to Reno Sunday morning at like 11
Oh yeah, no, we booked a campground in Reno, but by the time we got there, we only had an hour, so we had enough time to fill up water, take showers, back on the road.
Back on the road.
And so as we got closer, there's a spread. I mean, they make it so hard. This Burning Man's in the middle of fucking nowhere. So your last opportunity for gas is, I mean, there's a couple opportunities on the way, but really backed up lines, whatever. So like a proper gas station is about 2 hours away. So I'm every chance I have, every 20 minutes or so, filling up gas, just topping it off, because you want to go in with peak amount of gas. Mm-hmm. Last thing that happens, we're like, hey, we'll just tighten down the battery on the road. Well, the battery didn't get tightened down, and I go to start it up to get us that last 2-hour leg, and it won't fucking start. And thank God for some good old boys. Happened to run into some dude's got a big jacked up truck, and I was like, hey man, I need to jump. He comes over trying to jump. His grandfather happens to be there and helps us diagnose something. And it wasn't a big deal. The battery wasn't tightened down. I almost fucking slammed once it did start and almost slammed into the guy's truck. Whatever, crisis averted. So now we are on the road. And past that point, I mean, it's honestly, besides everyone's nerves being fried.
Get you going into this.
You want to talk about just sanity spilling out of people's ears. It was a lot. Because now we got a lot of shit just everywhere because you try to find a part, you're just pulling stuff apart, so whatever. So we get to the gates. And mind you, this whole time I bought some tickets secondhand, so I'm even wondering if I got, valid tickets. Guy comes in, scans our tickets. We get the green light on everybody. We are stoked.
Oh, yeah. We go to the will call, right? Because we all had to pick up will call. I just wanted to tell this one. So we go to the will call, right? And Colton and I walk up, and that's where you go and pick up your tickets if you've gotten them the way we did. And I go through the process, give them my idea, do everything. And the chick behind the counter finally gets my ticket. She holds my hand. She goes, hey, welcome to Burning Man. And she holds it out. And then when I reach her out, she pulls it back, and she goes, take it. Welcome to Burning Man. And I go to grab it. Take it. No, welcome.
No, take it.
Why don't you take it? And I don't know if I had bloodshot eyes or what, but I just stared. And then she just held it out again one more time, and I went to grab it. She took it back. And then she handed it to me. She goes, welcome to Burning Man. I don't know what part of life or what demon out there gave her the nonsense to do that. But man, that was an icing on the cake. I tell you what.
No, it wasn't, Dylan. No, it wasn't, buddy. Let me tell you. Oh man, but yeah, seriously, you were about to come through that window. You were about to throttle that woman.
I'm glad I had a mask. They told us to wear a mask for whatever reason when we went out there. But yeah,
that poor woman. She just had no clue how close she was to a homicide. I mean, she had no idea.
I think I was gripping the desk table. I don't think I was about to break it, waiting for that ticket.
But it was kind of cool so we get up and they're going to do a vehicle search or whatever. The lady, so if it's your first time to Burning Man, they have a ritual where they get you out while they're searching the RV, and you do a apply angel, dust angel. So the sand is so fine out there. It's dust. It's not even sand.
Dust,
it's hard compact dirt and dust.
Yeah.
And so they said apparently a big sandstorm's coming in.
Didn't even get to do the fun stuff. They're like, can't do fun stuff. Here's your shit. Get in.
Yeah, they didn't search the vehicle, nothing. And so we're like, okay, yeah. So we head on in, and sure as shit, big old storm comes rolling through, and we couldn't see but
barely
3 feet in front of us. You could see the taillights of the next vehicle, and we just kind of agreed on a site. We're like, okay, here feels good. Talked to the people next to us. It was their first time too, and they're like, yeah, pull up. And so we parked the RV, and
we parked at 5:30. That's where, like, right down that lane, 5:30. So if you're at Burning Man, right, the half circle, they get the roads lined up with every 30 minutes of a time slot.
The way they orient it is like a clock.
Yeah.
Right. So from 10 to 2. So when you see those images and it looks like a horseshoe, the way you find your way around things is like hours on a clock, and then they'll use letters to denote the roads that go horizontally, essentially. Right? Am I getting that right?
A, B, C, D. Yeah. Farther back you go, the higher the letter.
Yeah.
There's 6 o'clock. Everyone kind of starts at 6, and then you orient yourself going right or left.
And we kind of stumbled on a perfect spot. You could have gone left, could have gone right. And I was like, hey, I feel good about right. And 5:30 is awesome because it's kind of right in the middle. When we could come out to the main part, hey, we could either go left, we could go right. And if we run it back, when we run it back, I mean, I really like that orientation. I mean, it was
good because I mean, mind you, this thing is huge.
How many miles wide is it? 2 miles?
I think it's like 2 miles wide. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
That thing is huge. So us being in the middle, right, if we ever wanted to go right, we can always come back and restock on things and then go back left. Or if we wanted to go out and just explore one side of the playa, then come back, we can always do it. It just made it easier being in the middle to be able to do that.
Yeah. And everywhere you're getting around is by bike. So The bikes make it tremendously easier. And then, yeah, I mean, once we're there, man, when we parked that RV,
parked it, just that was such a relief. Like I just remember, just everything. I think we were still yelling at each other a little bit of the anger coming out, just expressing. And I was just like, "What are we yelling for? Let's get out of this thing and go outside. Let's go into. Let's start setting up our bikes. Let's get going.
Start checking stuff out." So we got settled in, and I think that first night, I think we took it pretty easy. I don't think
we just went exploring. We just had to get a feel of the land that first night. Which, man, going out to that playa was. There's very few times I've been like at a. It's usually the first time you go to a festival, you get like that euphoric feeling of like, where am I? Man, that first night going out there to the playa was definitely a euphoric feeling out there, for sure.
Yeah, so I mean, even just to take a moment to think back, because this is, this is kind of like the juicy bit, right? Like this is what everybody's curious about. What does it look like? You know, what's it all about? And I think I even hesitate to say a little bit because it was just so tough to get there. It was almost magical to actually be there.
Just to be there. Just all the research, what we've looked at, even before all the troubles, right? Just you read about everything that happens there, and just to be like, oh, we've made it. And it looks, even all the research that you can do, it looks completely different than even what you could imagine it is out there.
Yeah. So the funny part was on the way out, as we're experiencing troubles and stuff, and you know, you're checking the groups for updates and such. And this one kind soul put on one of the Burning Man groups and was like, hey, as your plans are falling apart, either your wallet's gotten stolen at a gas station, your RV's breaking down, your friends are fighting, just remember, wherever you are, whatever your journey looks like, that's exactly where you're supposed to be in this journey for where you're going. And man, that was just poetry to read, because what I think we did end up realizing once we got out there, it was almost general consensus across the board. Everybody had something to go through
to get there.
Maybe it was work, maybe it was a spouse, maybe it was like us, the RV. But everybody, it's almost a rite of passage going through the bullshit just to get there.
Just to get there. Yeah, it seemed like everyone had some sort of problem. Ours just so happened to be the RV, having to deal with all that to get there. But other people had issues getting tickets last minute. Other people had problems getting off of work. Other people quit their job because they were like, this is where I'm going. And F you people, I'm going out here.
Yeah, man. So
some people had some people had a ticket and had troubles just getting there after that. I got a ticket, folks. I just need a ride out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so all that to say, I mean, it does make that the juice so sweet, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
That experience just to be able to be there. And so after that first day, man, we caught some Z's, woke up, and
that was such a good night's sleep. I think we slept how many hours? I don't know. It had to been like 15 hours just to get it in.
I think that night was 12 hours.
11, 12 hours.
To wake up and the generator was still running?
You
want to talk about a feeling of disbelief?
I'm like, I'm not sweating right now.
Unreal.
This is amazing.
Unreal. And to prep the RV, we had to we didn't have to. I kindly asked everyone to kind of join forces with me here, though. But you tape up all the edges of the windows because the dust is alkaline, so it eats at your skin, it eats at the seals, it gets in the vents.
Painter's tape to put over the seals, and then we put inside plastic over anything where dust could come inside. Because otherwise, while you're driving in or just when dust storms come in, it would just be blowing inside your RV.
Gets everywhere.
That's how fine this dust is, right? It's not like dirt where it's heavy and then it could settle before it gets inside the RV. It's such a fine particle that it'll
literally go through the seam in the weather seal on the window. So you gotta be in a bubble essentially.
Yeah.
So then we got to sleep and now, hey, now we're here. Now we're doing the Burning Man thing. I mean, it still took us like 2 days, I think, for our nervous system to down regulate and appreciate being where we were.
Yeah.
But at this point, it's just random stories, letting them fly, and what we saw.
We got that carport set up. So that was having a carport set up was super key because there's no shade out there. Good luck unless you so happen to walk into somebody's camp and they let you join it, which, by the way, most people will during the day. Like most camps out there are gifting something or have something that they're doing or going on. I think everyone there's so
per
many
the
people out there
book, they give you a manual
about that thick.
It's about 250 pages. Right?
And fine print, not thick print,
no.
fine print.
And it's like, what do you want?
Camps.
What do you want? And they're all categorized, right? So it's like, hey, do you want to go make a tutu macaroni necklace? Do you want a massage? Do you want an adult snow cone? Do you want to go to the orgy tent? Do you want to get your bike fixed? Do you want to trick out your bike? Do you want to do face paint?
All of it, whatever.
Anything that you want. So you got two types of camps. You got our kind of camp, which is a solo camp, right? Which is just like, think any other music festival you've been to or whatever, which
just a self-reliant camp. We're by ourselves. We don't have to.
Abby would also appreciate, hey, this is not a festival. It's a community.
It's a community out there.
Because a festival implies the entertainment's for you.
And that they're providing like the if you go to Bonnaroo or if you go to Coachella, right? The festival is providing all the entertainment to you, all the vendors, everything, right? You go to this, the festival's not providing anything except maybe porta potties to you, and then the setup of the whole event. Everything that you see out there and everything that is provided to you is gifted to you by other attendees of the event. So it's a community
like a
of a
professional stage. If they're like, hey, by the way, we are not a music festival, but if you're into that, and they release an official set list. And we got to see names including Diplo, Flosstradamus, Vintage Culture,
Carl
Cox, Justin Martin.
Got to run in to meet Carl Cox. That was pretty sweet.
Yeah, I mean, it was just like, and by the way,
Summit.
I forgot to tell you, Aubrey Marcus and his wife, Vailana, and his whole crew, when we were watching the cool Diplo set where he threw down at the heavy bass stage, they were 15 feet from us. They were in front of the bouncy house.
That bouncy house was wild.
Sick, right?
I've never seen that bouncy house collapse and repair itself so many times.
Dude, that thing was duct tape. A bouncy house at a fucking bass stage. They're like, hey, do you want some wah-wah? How about a bouncy house too? And so...
and it was camps that put on the stages. So it wasn't like the Burning Man set up these stages. It was somebody's camp, a group.
Just somebody with fuck you money.
Sets up this huge camp. With all, and we're talking, when we're talking about a stage, we're talking propane fire coming out of them.
Those stages, I'll say it here, rival almost any stage, because of the propane especially, any stage I've ever been to. EDC, Tomorrow World.
The speaker production quality coming out of it.
They're professional stages. These are grade A, top of the line stages.
And they didn't shut them down during sandstorms either. They kept those things running during sandstorms. That means we're talking to this fine particles. There, people are like, "Oh, it's going to ruin your RVs. It's going to ruin your bikes and everything." Who knows what it did to those speaker systems?
I know exactly what it did to them. It fucked them up.
And they don't stop either. There's no, like, when you go to any other concert or event, right? They take, all right, it's going to be like a 10-minute break between things. The next DJ's coming on. Sometimes you didn't know the next DJ was up until their name was put up on the system.
Yeah. Infected Mushroom, John Summit. I mean, you got literal dirt devils coming straight through the crowd. I mean, little mini tornadoes of dust and dirt and sand.
You got your goggles.
Barreling through.
You got to put on your goggles while you're still raging, and then you're like, all right, it's gone. Take it back off.
That was my, if I had to highlight a couple highlight moments, watching what people do with their money when they've reached a level of what else do I do? Because you have such a heavy influence of Silicon Valley there. We got to run into ex-senior executive from Google and
ran into a couple of those guys.
And that's what they do. They just reached a point where they're like, hey, I want to do a lot of fun shit. I want to create a bunch of fun shit for other people. And so here I'm just going to build this massive stage.
The way they did it, which was very interesting, was they would I guess what happens is they're able to purchase, after you go so many years, these people with FU money, right, can purchase ahead of time a huge group of tickets. We're talking like 40 tickets. Mm-hmm. So what they do is they go, okay, they'll tell Burning Man Project, hey, we'll provide this stage and this gift to everybody. We need 40 tickets to help run this thing.
Yeah.
And so they'll get 40 tickets, probably purchase them from Burning Man. And then they will tell people, they'll gift it probably to people that they need to help with the production. Then they'll go, we have 20 tickets left. Who wants them? But we need you to work, like handing out food, or we need you to like just run lines whenever we need it. We need you to get the water for the DJ whenever they ask for one, whatever it is. And so you have people just out of the woodwork so they can gift to get these tickets. So those were a lot of times.
Some of them, they would pay dues, right? So like a lot of the camps,
yeah.
I think the stages are kind of the exception of being gifted. A lot of the camps would be allocated a certain number of tickets, and people would pay.
The champagne camp, right? Like you go to this camp, you're walking by it, and they just give you free champagne, right? You bring your cup, your ID, show you're old enough to drink. Here's champagne. That type of camp, you probably paid $600. You got your ticket. You paid them for the ticket, and then you gave them $600, and then they provided you a tent, a sleeping bag, food, lounge, whatever. But then you at least had to like serve the champagne. You had to make sure the camp was clean for them. You had to make sure to do whatever. So there was these people with FU money will set everything up, but then they have enough tickets to give out, so they don't have to worry about anything except enjoying a good time.
Yeah, which I'm extremely grateful we didn't have to deal with any of that. Like, we were chilling with really cool people. And I got to go do my bartending shift. And it's like, fuck out of here with that.
I don't want to do that.
No one wants to do that shit.
I'll gift you a sticker, though.
No, I'll give you a sticker. Lollipop, some gummy bears.
Some nice wristband.
So what else, man? I mean, the police presence was heavier than expected.
Heavier than expected, sure. But they were cool.
The Rangers were cool.
There was two different police. There was Rangers, and then there was the sheriffs. There was definitely two variety. The Rangers were super cool. They got it. They were just like, oh yeah, we're not here to do it. Have a good time. Drink water. If you're not drinking water, you're gonna run into us. But drink water.
Yeah. Now the sheriffs, we were at the one stage, the Diplo set, shoulder to shoulder. We watched this man rip a bump of something.
We're talking.
The cops didn't know he was there.
They could have
each
reached out and touched each other.
They could have hugged each other for sure.
But they were so. This is how good Diplo is. The sheriffs were only focused watching this Diplo shit.
One of the sheriffs was taking a fucking video
of it, while the guy next to him was also watching the Diplo set, taking a huge bump of K at the same time. That was.
I saw this start to happen. Things. I reach over to you. I'm like, Dylan, and he's like, you're like, dude, we got to do. I'm like, there's nothing we can do. And we both realize, like, there's nothing we can do to save that man. Nothing happens. And so they leave. I go up to him like, hey, man, did you just do some candy, ketamine, something? He's like, his eyes got all bug-eyed. I'm like, dude, I don't give a fuck. I mean, clearly, look, I'm in a spinny hat. I don't give a fuck. But just so you know, you just did that next to a cop. And he was like, oh, cool. Good looking out, man. I'm like,
as he's doing another things, man.
Radio, brother. Sometimes you just see a plastic bag in the wind and it just wants to keep riding that current. So you're like, all right, just get on out of here.
I'm going.
Keeping on.
What was really cool that I enjoyed seeing was every one of those art cars. Like, just every time we saw a new one, right?
What was your favorite one? What do you think was your favorite?
Dude, I think there was a few, right? There was like different versions. Like, if you were to say my favorite flaming one, the octopus. 100%.
You have to go octopus.
Have to go octopus for this thing, right, folks? Think of all the I don't know, tentacles, I guess. Yeah, tentacles on this thing. Each tentacle had a flaming thing, and the tentacle moved up and down. Then it had an eyeball on all four sides that also spit fire, but then the eyeballs moved up and out, in and out.
And the teeth, too. Had some teeth to go with the eyeballs.
Teeth to go up and down, all moved. And this thing would just be like... it would move
straight metal. The whole thing's metal.
Whatever the craziest set was going on, it would drive to that set.
It's on wheels.
There's someone in there just constantly pressing buttons.
Just mashing buttons connected to fire.
That person had to be coked out for sure.
Oh my God.
flames coming out of every direction at all
It was like
times.
something out of SpongeBob, just a dashboard of buttons, and they're just slamming buttons.
They're
and you could
slamming
tell
buttons.
when the person on the propane would get excited because the fire would start going faster, and sometimes you just mash all the buttons at one time and all the fire would come out.
There was definitely a button in there that had to be a big red button in there. As soon as you press that thing, it all came out.
It's a lever where it's like, pull the lever, Gronk. And
that thing was wild. The other one was pretty cool, which we didn't see till really the last day, was the San Francisco the bridge. I don't know what the bridge is called in
Bridge was
San
cool.
Francisco. The Golden Gate Bridge,
The Golden
I think
Gate
is what it
Bridge,
is. Yeah, there was a Golden Gate Bridge art car. That was pretty cool.
I mean, the sheep was sick. I mean, that's the biggest sheep I've ever seen.
Oh my God. The sheep was an entire art car full of LED screens. The entire wrapped around. I'm talking bigger than a school bus.
3 stories tall. I mean,
3 stories tall,
tip to tip,
longer than a school bus.
And I mean, we found it. It found us. We're just biking across the playa. And the cool part is also to set a setting here, like picture straight black and you're looking out and everything's glittering and neon and lit up with God knows what. But it was also fairly spaced apart. So you could look at something and be like, oh, that's right there. But you got to bike like 5 minutes to it. And if you're on a bike, think about how far, if you're just not going fast, but just trucking along, that's about how far these art installations, the permanent ones not on wheels, were.
The optical illusion of everything, thinking it was like right there. And it would take 20 minutes to bike over to it. Over to it. It was wild.
And the sheep found us because we were just biking back from something, and I just got slammed in the eye with a strobe. And once that blind spot went away, I was like, oh, this makes sense. It's a 30-foot tall sheep covered in LEDs and a massive sound system with strobe lights for eyeballs. It was just like, oscillating
that makes
strobes.
sense when we see that out here. I think we had a game, right, that we said, because we started seeing every type of art card you could think of, like anything that someone made, and we were like, what? I think, you came up with, you're like, just name something, and we'll see if they come up with it. I think someone said a toothbrush. I said lobster. Someone else said something
No one
else.
said toothbrush. We just saw a toothbrush after we saw
right.
the art card that was a giant set of teeth.
That's right. Just a teeth going across the playa, going waka, 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 waka. And that thing was moving.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, cars can't go, if you have a car or an RV, you can't go more than 5 miles per hour. And I think the only exception was art cars, because some of those suckers were moving across the playa.
We saw one guy get pulled over at like, 7 in the morning at a sunrise set?
You know he had to be messed up.
He had a truck full of fucked up people. People were falling out of the back of that thing fucked up, you know?
And they said, hey, man, just slow down. Have fun.
Literally, I mean, we talked to a ranger for a good amount of time, and that was a blast. But we're like, dude, how many people are you pulling fucked up? And he's like, no, everyone's pretty good. And we're like,
I know what you're saying.
Fuck out of here. Ain't no shot. Didn't you see a guy, some chick was like, are you okay? Or something? And he was staring off into space.
He was just staring off into space. Yeah. I saw one of the drivers. We were at just one of the daytime sets, and he was just sitting in the driver's seat of one of the art cars, staring off into space. Biggest smile on his face. He was having a great time. His drugs were tested. Good, right? And so some chick comes up and is like, hey, man, are you doing okay? And you just see him go, what? Like, are you doing okay? And he's like, and his response was, I am high as fuck right now. And she goes, oh, cool, okay. And you just see him lean back in his chair, like, I just stared off back into wherever he was looking at. But yeah, there's no way those people were any sober.
I think it's also appropriate to mention it was refreshing for I know I mentioned the story earlier, but there was no public illicit use of drugs aside from that one instance.
Besides that one instance, that was the only instance I saw that at all. Everyone, mind you too as well, folks, this was a very much older crowd. Yeah. This wasn't a bunch of college kids or newbies that like.
There were kids running around.
There were
literal children.
Literal children, but like it wasn't like you were going to some big Coachella festival. It was a ton of like
it was either
Instagrammers
children
or like that.
or seasoned vets.
Or seasoned vets of people that have a lot of people that have their shit together. Like I met a doctor out there. I met lawyers, professors. You know, these are people that like let loose out here. Like you can look around and see some of the wildest people, and you're like, I wonder what they do outside of this world.
Blowing off steam, man. All these people, and I do want to take the chance to plug because we have a new affiliate sponsor, and I want to give a shout out to testkitplus.com. You guys have trusted us with a lot of your, trusted us with doing the due diligence and trusting our information and what we provide to you and in our community and caring about you guys. And so if you're interested in Burning Man or any other festival community that is partaking in recreational or illicit substances, not that we condone the use of anything illicit or illegal, we do condone doing it safely. And so after vetting a lot of potential affiliations or sponsorships, we're really, really proud to partner with Test Kit Plus. And so if you need a source where you can verify what you're putting in your body, keep yourself, keep your friends, keep your brain safe, highly, highly, highly recommend. If you're not using them, use somebody. But if you want to go through us, I went through the due diligence, vetted them, they vetted us. And so now we are proud affiliates with Test Kit Plus. So you can go to testkitplus.com/professional hippies. Again, that's testkitplus.com/professional hippies. And we do get a kickback from that, but at the same time, what that allows us to do is continue to improve this podcast, continue to improve the resources we can provide you, but most importantly, we can provide you with a trusted resource to make sure you guys are being safe. And at the very least, $20, save your life. Go check them out. I can't understate how important it is that if you are going to do something, you do it safely.
Test your shit, folks.
Test your shit, man. And everyone out there, though, you know, that was the crazy part is like, it was weird that it was kind of like if, I'll say like acid had an imagination and threw up, that's what fucking Burning Man was. I mean, it was just like
anything and everything. Like
bastard child of a fucking weird trip.
There was no consistency. There was no consistency whatsoever.
None.
Like there was nothing like, oh, if I go in this direction, you know, I'll get this type of experience. You could go one direction, and every 30 seconds was a different experience going that direction.
Yeah.
It was amazing. You know what was really cool was that pyramid out there.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the Sausage Man.
That's coming.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, Sausage Man was coming.
Fair enough.
The pyramid, though, they had this humongous pyramid out there that you could walk into. On the outside of it was straight up projection.
I don't know how the fuck I looked for a projector. I didn't even see a fucking projector.
I still don't know how they did it because there's no way they did it from the inside
because
it was
scaffolding. Shadows.
It was scaffolding going all the way up, right?
Where the fuck? How did they do that?
I never seen somebody that was FU money coming from somewhere.
That was Aubrey Marcus's camp. That's the one he's a part of.
Well, FU money right there.
Yeah, there you go. Shout out on it.
I don't know how. Yeah, shout out on that one. I don't know how they did it. Whatever. It just looked like there was an ayahuasca trip going on the entire time on the outside of that.
Yeah.
That thing, and then in front of that was a smaller pyramid, and that's where the best sunrise sets were. Was outside of that.
Those talk about sunrises were crispy. Oh God damn,
crispy. Man, those were beautiful. You talk about seeing some strung
sunsets
out
were cool. Sunsets were cool.
I love the sunsets because that's when you knew things were about to get going, right? Like,
yeah.
Thank God the cool weather's coming.
Dude, I'm getting the tingle in my balls right now just talking about it. You're like, ooh. But you those sunrises, man.
The sunrises were like, those were beautiful.
And they snuck up on you. Snuck up on you. You were having fun.
Then the heat.
How about the dude? So we were at one of the sunrise sets for Justin Martin, and we started playing this game on a scale of 1 to 10. How strung out people were. One dude definitely went from nighttime to daytime. He turned around and we saw a look on his face.
The sun was already up. the sun was already up, and he had been facing the
Been up for like
stage the
2 fucking
entire
hours. We saw this man's glasses come down. He looked and he was like,
turns around and looks out. He's like, "Where did that come from? Is that the sun? Who put that there?"
like the motherfucker snuck up and bit him on the ass. He was like,
In a fur coat too.
oh yeah.
He's like, "Where the
He was a 12 out of 10. That man living his best life, just fucking cut up a rug and put it on his shoulders. That man.
I was like, "I'll be you, sir, later this week." I'm glad you're doing it now, though.
the porta potties are pretty clean. That's a hard transition there, but there were porta potties by the sunrise. That's what I'm thinking of.
From beautiful sunrises to porta potties, pretty nice.
You can't tell me that porta potty decorated with whatever the fuck shit,
if you,
mermaids.
Lane 530, folks, at the first porta potties coming in, someone decked out 4 or 6 of those things to look beautiful.
LEDs. They had it was
LEDs.
Pirates. That's what it was. Mermaids. One was mermaids. One was pirates. They had all these funny jokes.
One was like a fancy dinner. Like if you were like having it was like set up like a nice ballroom dinner. Like, what is going on? What was it? Y'all had gone ahead, and I was biking back with Abby. And I come out of one of the bathrooms, and I was like, I never say this, but you got to check out this porta potty.
Gotta check out this porta potty.
You got to check out this thing. Man, I've never seen a porta potty decked out like that before. You know,
There was just so much weird.
You're on the playa,
everywhere.
though. You're on the playa porta potties. Those things were rank by 2 a.m.
For sure. For sure. I mean, but they did their best to keep them clean. So that's the thing I appreciated. They were just clean, and like it was just everywhere was fucked up, man.
There was so much art though. Like you could be everything was fucked up, but then you could find a space that was like beautiful. Right?
Oh, like the Last Bet Motel.
Like
you know,
the
that
Last
was our
Bet
safe
Motel.
heaven.
That was our safe bet when things were just getting a little too wired, you know, for us. We'd be like, let's just go out there and chill. And it was just like this, you know, if you think of like a hotel with the craziest shit in it.
Good luck describing that thing.
I don't know how to describe that, but it was called Last Bet Motel. It was basically the last thing before.
Really cute sign. It was a professional sign, Last Bet Motel. I mean, it was really bright neon.
Beautiful art.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. And it was basically the last thing before it went out to Deep Playa, out in the middle of nowhere.
Fucking nowhere.
And let's talk about that for a minute. So there's people out there, right, we had regular bikes, but there was people out there with electric bikes, which is definitely a way to go, right? Like, I wish we had electric bikes, but I mean, you're spending
a lot of people were bitching in the groups about them. A lot of people were bitching about them
because sometimes you had to like jump out of the way of those suckers. Because
hey, they can bitch. I want one.
They're imagine really messed up person going 20 miles an hour across the playa.
Ranking across it. And the last bet, we're hanging out there, and power went out.
Power went out, right? So each of these art stations that have some sort of light coming out of them, right? Each of them have a generator, and the generators are usually a good like 100 feet away from where the art is at, and they usually have something on the generator. So
Christmas lights,
something just so you can see the generator.
Yeah, it's just, hey, there's a box here.
Well, while we're sitting at the Last Bet Motel, the power goes out on it, which means whatever gas was fueling it out.
Yeah. No backup.
All of a sudden, we just see this electric generator come out of the darkness. He came out of the Deep Playa, which means he is hauling. Cooking. And we just see this man smash into this generator.
We watched him meet physics. That man learned a lesson that night.
Fucked his world.
Dude.
So
you know when your buddy just eats it, roller skate, skateboarding, whatever, just eats it. But there's that moment where you're like,
we wanted to help, but
Dylan,
we were in no
you didn't
state.
have a fucking hesitation before that cackle came screaming out of you, dude.
I was in a state of mind of like, I want to. That was the funniest fucking thing. I felt so bad. That was awfully funny.
Watching that man experience a season of emotions.
My minds went from watching a portal open up in the sky by drones.
Oh, that's right. They did have several hundred drones in the sky making faces and
from
vortexes.
the direction that he was coming from. There was just hundreds of drones opening up a portal in the sky, and all of a sudden my eyes just glanced down to the sky zipping across. So I have the biggest smile on my face watching this portal open up to now watching this guy smash into a generator. I don't know what was happening, but man, I lost it.
This poor son of a bitch, he fucking I feel so bad for him, man. I'm sending him all the good energy in the world. I hope he's okay, but
I hope he's okay. He's okay because we saw him leave. We were there for the whole entire world.
him clearly screaming "what the fuck" and putting on his headlamp and investigating. Okay, this is a generator. Then investigating his leg, which is fucked. The bike, which was functional, I guess he fixed it or did whatever the fuck, and then. God, man, that poor man.
We watched this person just looking at the generator, looking at his bike, checking himself. Everything's okay. He was there for all of like 15 minutes.
This is a solid 15 minutes of him
While he
just
was checking
understanding what the fuck just happened.
I think he was looking for a glow stick to try to put on top of the thing. He couldn't find anything.
You'd like to
Evaluate
think. I think he was trying to find his legs, dude.
I think so because that wasn't a sober person.
No,
but he sobered up, kinda. But he was just trying to figure out what was happening. He looked like he was in a spacesuit too, which was even.
He was in a
funnier.
spacesuit. He was in a spacesuit.
Made it just so much funnier. Just someone coming back down to Earth to find a damn generator out in the middle of a planet. I felt so bad, but I could never have helped that person.
Oh, there's nothing we could have done.
There's nothing we could have done.
We were the last bed motel for a reason. You know.
That guy we met too at the last bet before all that went down. This was a guy.
The guy in the army helmet.
Pulls up in an army helmet, boots. Looks like he just dropped out of World War II.
Yeah, he came off a tank. He
did?
No, he wasn't on the tank. He was on the other.
He was on an art car, but he got to tell us about kind of like an art car camp. He was
he came off a ship. He was he came off a ship. I think they had one of the pretty ships out there.
Oh yeah, well, he goes. There's these 4 engineers that run this art car, but they need people to run the camp while they're taking care of the art car. So this is a great example we were talking about earlier, where if you talk to the Burning Man, you get all these tickets. So these engineers give out these tickets to people to manage the camp, like taking care of things, and then the people pay them as well, $600, the engineers. And the engineers are like, we're going to focus on this thing. Y'all take care of everything else that we need.
Yeah.
That was so funny.
So, yeah, I mean, and moving into kind of my crowning achievement there, right? Got engaged.
That was
huge moment.
Talk about that process.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've had the ring here for a couple of months, and God, you want to talk about so that, or what I alluded to earlier, kind of foreshadowing this event, was like that was the reason I was like, gotta make it happen here, because Abby and I fell in love on DMT. We were best friends for a year and a half, and a series of events transpired, and a soul merge on DMT, and so it's kind of like a really cute coming full circle, almost about a year to the day. It was almost nearly a year to the day where we kind of had our first real intimate experience together. And so just trying to find a fucking place that had good lighting too.
Yeah, because this was Thursday, I think. Yeah, Thursday. So we've kind of gotten an idea of good
where
spots.
Stuff's at, yeah.
Kind of where things are at, all right? So we came up with a phrase. I think we said pineapple when we kind of knew a location to go to, like, ooh, go that way. So like we found we were dancing to this art car, this like Asian art car that was just blaring.
No, that music. Was Jamaican man, Jamaya something. They did.
I don't know. It was something.
Yeah, fair enough.
It was blaring good music though. We were just dancing having a good time. And Colton's like, "Hey, I think there's a pineapple."
Pineapples are over there.
Just to get us roped out of like, oh yeah, we're here to. That's what we got to do tonight.
Well, because there's this beautiful
tree. It was like a
tree with fire for
fires
leaves
coming out the ends. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, man, that's
a good place.
a beautiful temple in the background, and the temple in itself is a story, but beautiful purple temple. And I was like, man, the lighting over there is perfect. And I was in the back of my head, I'm like, we got to get over there quick, because I know the lighting's good now, but they could run out of propane, something could happen. So we wrangle the cats, get over there. Sure as fucking shit, fucking propane goes out.
We get to the point where like I'm holding up the phone to start,
we're ready to do it.
Video.
This is it.
Lights go out.
So, and Abby's wondering, why do you guys want to take a picture so bad? I'm like, you just look so cute. You're trying to.
It's a good night. We're trying to get the costume. We're trying to get the costume picture.
Pictures, and go up to the guys running now. Let me go check, see if they got more propane. Go up to them. Hey guys, what happened to propane? You guys good? And to say that everybody spun out, I mean, that's the understatement of the fucking century, right? So these guys look at me and they're like, yeah, man, sorry. We don't know.
Safety third.
What? They're like, yeah, they say safety third. Well, we got a third.
We reached it. We don't
What?
know what?
He goes, yeah, no, we don't know what's wrong. So we're just stopping it until we're a little more sober and can figure out tomorrow what the problem is.
You were like, what did they say? You were like, people, flames, problem. You don't know. Turn it off.
Yeah. What am I going to say to that, right? So I'm like, okay. And then, Dylan, man, you crushed it with the next.
I saw that earlier in the day, and I was like, that would be a solid spot.
Yeah. So the Chinese temple thing, a quarter mile away. So we bike over to that. And
exactly what it was.
I kind of blacked out at that point. I was like, all right, you're ever going to do it. And if you guys go on Instagram, you'll see a cool video of that and a beautiful poem that I think you were in the group chat, Abby. So the guy that wrote the poem that was the background reached out to Abby and sent her.
I saw that. It was a great poem. Yeah, that was a
nice
long
poem.
I think that was like half of it because it went all the way around. Like you had to like read it going all the way around the thing.
Yeah.
But I think we got the beginning of it.
Yeah.
The poem. The first part, which was cool. We didn't even plan that. That's just how it worked out.
It was a beautiful poem, and was able to surprise Abby, then throwing her off the scent trail pretty heavy. And so, yeah, at that point, man, you want to talk about just a beautiful set and setting for the night.
It was.
You can't think of a better vibe.
It's like, here's the ring. All right, we're going to be taking things. Give it back.
She wanted to wear it. How funny is that?
Talk about so easy way to lose that thing.
She's like, but I want to wear it. And I ended up, this is funny because I bought it just 3 sizes too big, right? So I bought it, I thought it might be 1 size too big, but I figured, hey, I'll err on the side of caution or whatever. Because the company I bought it from does free resizing. And so Abby took it to get resized, and it's like $500. And I was like, what the fuck? And so I called the company. They're like, yeah, it takes 3 to 4 weeks. So I was like, whatever, fuck it, because we got engagement photos and stuff to take. And so I was like, whatever, we'll just pay the money. And I'm used to just fucking burning the money by this point in the month.
Whatever, swipe. That was like a good habit to get into on this trip. Swipe. I got good at doing like backwards. Like
oh yeah, man.
Swipe. No look. Swipe.
Oh, tap.
What was funny was like all that spending we did, and then we get to Burning Man, and then no more spending because
that was the weird part. You can't buy nothing.
You can't buy nothing. There's no vendors. It's all a gifting thing.
Cashless.
And self-reliant, by the way, right? So if you like, all right. So where our camp was, to then get out to the playa was a solid like 20-minute bike ride, just from like our camp.
Depends where you're going. Depends where you want to go.
Depends on where you're going.
To get where you're going is maybe like 6-7 minutes, like to the belly button. But if you want to experience
get
any
somewhere,
nipples,
about 20 minutes, right? But I get to that is where if you finally get to where you want to go, you had to bring whatever water you had. There's no vendors where you're like, I'd like to buy a bottle of water or anything.
Well, beer. You got to bring the beer you want.
You got to bring the beer you want. You got to bring the water you want, right? And so there's a lot of camps that would pretty much provide water to you if you needed it. But they're gonna if you're kind of needing water at that point, they're gonna be like kind of urge you to go back to camp and restock yourself.
It was a place of if you have what you need, you will receive what you don't need in excess. But if you're there to mooch, that's where any kind of like, hey man, come on, right?
Yeah.
So like it was a desert full of abundance as long as your needs were taken care of.
If they saw that you were taking care of yourself first and already kind of taking care of yourself, but then you may like be lacking on just something, they were more than happy to give it to you. But if you were lacking on everything, and they're like, hey, what's going on? Why are you doing this?
Yeah. So that ended up being just a beautiful night.
That was a beautiful
Thursday
night.
Vibes.
So
that was where we decided, hey, because we wanted to leave Saturday morning. So we're like,
hey, That's where the knob went from green to red. Let's open that cycle up.
Slowly. It took about 9 hours. No, at that point, it was about 11 hours.
That was a good solid trip. I'll tell you that.
We'll fast forward into you being like, hey, man, I need some shade.
Oh, yeah. So we made it to the daytime, right? Like, we had a great night, right? Solid music. The trip has been fantastic throughout the night. So we're like, oh, let's get to sunrise. We went to sunrise. We got the sunrise set. You got to enjoy naked bike riding across the playa.
Oh,
I'd
yeah.
like to highlight that. That was not a favor on my part, but I know it had to be a favor on your part for sure. And but I was just like, oh, you know what? Dehydration is starting to set in. Kind of need some shade. And so, you and I know each other pretty well. That usually sounds like a joke at first. Like, oh, yeah, dehydration. And then, like, second time, enjoy the time, guys. Really could if we could make our way to some shade, that would be great. And you're like, yeah, we're getting there. And you and I, you're like, yeah. And we start. And then the third time, I'm like, gonna die soon. I know we're having a great time. Really could use that shade. Usually by the third time, it's like, okay,
I don't think something. I got the pleasure of hearing I'm gonna die soon, but that is what I heard because I'm like, okay, he is really close to passing out. And so
I've got a shawl on top of my head. I think I'm like draping over my bike. Like if you have like an engine that's like barely.
You were the generator at that point, just holding on for dear life.
We finally made it some shade. I think it was the Earth something.
Earth Guardians.
Earth Guardians. Perfect place. It's got shade, but man, we got in there. There was a bunch of older people in there. We were getting some weird looks.
They were getting ready for a fucking Jehovah's Church. Or
I
something.
saw. We had been there for like 10 minutes, and I see a guy pick up a mic, and I was like, "We're out." I don't know what meeting's about to happen, but I do not want to be here for it. we left and went back to camp, and man, I never wanted Gatorade so much.
Well, you're like, what worried me is your stomach is cramping.
The telltale signs, folks. If you're ever cramping, if you eat something and then your insides are cramping as you're eating it, man, your body is hella dehydrated.
But thank God we caught it when you did.
I knew it was. Thank God I know what I was. I felt it. I know what to look for when that started happening because I was like, ooh, those are the signs right there. Yeah. If you're sweating out there too, because I started to sweat. Remember that? And if you're not supposed to sweat out there because the humidity is so dry out there that you really shouldn't sweat. If you start to sweat, that means your body is really dehydrated and is starting to actually try to save itself.
Yeah.
And so that started happening. So we made it back and got that food and Gatorade in me, and that was. I think you said like you saw the white leaving my face finally. That was interesting.
Yeah, it was putting cold towels on you and shit, making sure your body temp was coming down. But that
I never thought electrolytes would be. Electrolytes are important, but out there, man, they are more important than anything. You could drink. I think Abby was right. She was drinking tons of water.
Yeah, and
still started to get dehydrated. And then we finally figured out like, oh, you're not drinking any electrolytes. Like, your body has to have that
and stuff.
Yeah.
She's like, I feel good, but I don't feel good. And we finally pinned it down. We put a lot of Pedialyte in there and salt.
Out there learning like chemical compounds that your body needs in order to function properly. If you're out playing sports or something like water, drink water, you'll be fine. But like really realizing like your body is depleted of something that it actually needs to function properly. You will learn it out there. That's for sure.
Yeah. You definitely get much more attuned to what your body needs, like Rice Krispies and gummy bears.
And you see it out there. You see it out there too. What was it? We saw on a post or something that like if you start to feel sick, just go like join up with a camp. Let them know you're.
If you're feeling nauseous, don't go back to your RV. That's what like all animals do to die. You want to go to any campsite. I mean the energy was so receptive to almost everyone that we came across. You could go
any camp, and if you tell them what's going on, they are more than happy to help you. Like
everybody's so down to help everybody.
So down to help everybody. Like if you go to any camp that definitely like any camp out there that's huge has been going to 5+ years, right? So there's just experts in there that know. Okay, what they'll pretty much detail down and let you know what you need, basically.
Yeah,
take care of you. So the you were never in a spot where you were alone. you're always like, even though it's self-reliancy and like take care of yourself, there's always somebody to help if you need it. That's for
always
sure.
a gay man behind you. There's always somebody ready to help you from behind.
Man, John Summit brings him out, don't he?
I tell you what, that infected mushroom set though, that was almost a religious experience. That was
infected mushroom set was beautiful. That was much
especially
better than
when
last
they
time.
started doing covers of songs. Oh man, I cannot recommend the burn.
Stop your original
enough.
stuff. Go with your keep doing the remixes y'all are doing, the covers. Those were fantastic.
Yeah, so I mean, as far as major takeaways, I mean, the art is exquisite, and when I say that, I mean that's still an understatement. Like there are installations that are just so beautiful and breathtaking, especially at different hours of the day, and
each part of the day
of the
had a
night.
different art. Like there could be a
Yeah.
daytime art and then nighttime art going
Yeah.
on, right? And all the way to from there's plenty in front, but you could go 2 miles out into the desert if you
You
wanted
could
to.
go 4 miles out.
And there's art out there.
Yeah.
Someone decided to build. We found, I don't know how far we were out at ours. We were like at the end of like Deep Playa, like the beginning of Deep Playa, I guess you could say. We found that cat installation.
Oh, that's about 2.5 miles in.
Yeah. And there was just a bunch of cats that came out landed on the playa.
Catronauts and maestronauts.
Astronauts. They landed their little rover on the playa, and you could slide down the playa from
Did
there.
you go up in that, by the way? 'Cause
Yeah.
there was a guy chilling in a cat hammock up in
Yeah.
the spaceship. That
Yeah,
pretty cool.
I went up there. That was pretty cool to see. They had like a whole bunch of instruments. I mean, the detail in this artwork
To every
was
artwork.
wild.
Yeah.
Just every piece. There was the last night I went, right? Like after my whole dehydration thing, I got like 7 hours of sleep, went out later that night. Huge dust storm came through that night. And I was like, I am going in that sucker. And we ended up biking out there to the point that Joe and I went out there, and the dust storm, right? You couldn't see more than like 5 feet ahead of you. That's how dusty this stuff was. And you get into a point of in a pocket where there wasn't anybody out except just the sand around you, and it would be dead quiet. That's how much the sand was blocking. But then you could look up and see the stars. So it was just all around you that you could see the sand. And then you just kind of be going along, you hear like thumping, and you're like, oh, let's go see what that is. And it'd be either a stage or an art car. But it was one of the coolest art pieces I saw was during the sandstorm, we were coming across, and you see the light from this art just kind of peeking out from the sand, and we were coming across it. And it was, as you're getting closer to it, it looks like a humongous creature, like walking through the desert in the sandstorm. And as you get closer to it, it looks like this alien-looking monster creature just with his like mouth wide open. And there's just a little alien dude standing in front of it. And if you go and stand next to the alien dude, the monster with its mouth open, a creature inside the monster lights up. So it's like a person, an alien person, and a person that looks just like him inside that monster just lights up. To see that, like in the middle of the sandstorm, looks like it's already walking across the desert, and it's just like yelling at this alien dude. And then to see that, it was just, I was like, wow, there was a lot. And the whole thing was made out of tires, recycled tires. I was like,
By the end of it, you just started looking at things, and you're like, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it
just makes sense. Weirdly enough, you're like, oh yeah, that makes
sense.
That's why someone would have created
everything we're saying. This is touching on the tip of the iceberg. I mean, we probably experienced 5 to 10%.
Yeah, we didn't even go into really camps. We went to like a couple camps. We got a couple, and there was just there was one thing I saw someone post out there that I wanted to find but I didn't, was a steam room party vehicle.
Oh yeah, that was in the handbook. That was a camp.
Yeah,
as well.
You
So
go. They had a. You
during
could go to
regular hours.
the steam room and drink and party, and I don't know how they were doing it, but they could do it there. They had obviously yoga mat sessions everywhere. There was definitely like the rich people camp area, which was I think 9 and 10 o'clock.
And the kids, by the way, to speak to the kids for just a second, they had a whole section in the book for just kid activities.
Yeah.
So they had all stuff for the kids. Kids were well taken care of, and
Arts and crafts out there for the kids. Joe found one during the day. He made lip balm from like beeswax and something else. He came back. He was like, "Oh, this was I was needing it for the sun." Anything like you might have forgot that you kind of need out there, there's someone out there that's providing it for you.
Or the shit you brought that broke.
Or the shit that you bought that broke. Yeah, there's somewhere. Man, we bought those brand new bikes, and they were breaking down by the end of that trip, weren't they? These were brand new mountain bikes from Walmart, and they were just breaking down on the
Giving
way.
them hell, son. Yeah, man. So I think as we start to land plane here, that my thoughts are, hey, if you've been thinking about Burning Man, I can't recommend it enough. It was a beautiful experience. Be prepared. It is a journey getting there. It's a journey when you're there. It's a journey getting fucking home. We had a flat tire and other shit.
Flat tire. We were so close.
So close.
Something decides to give out. That was nice though that you found that place on the way back. Thank God, actually, it blew where we did.
Yeah.
Right, because it was a Sunday coming back.
Yeah, and the next day was a holiday, so they would have been closed, and we were on another hour and a half stretch. That would have been brutal.
We blew it 20 minutes out from the only place open.
The only place for like an hour and a half in any direction.
And that guy, we got that guy. Thank God you got that RV and roadside assistance for $3.
$3, change your life.
And got us there. And then you talked to that lady. Thank God we got to sleep. We got to take a nap while they changed the tire.
Literally inside, we just passed out. Got a couple hours of sleep, and I mean that's the longest drive I've done. We drove. By the time we got home, we left Saturday at 10:30, and we got home at 10:47 on Monday.
Yeah,
and we drove that pretty straight on, aside from the sleep we would get when shit broke.
Which kind of gives you an idea of all the troubles we had going from Burning Man to there. We left Thursday. Where did you leave? Thursday or Friday?
We left Friday at 1.
And we didn't get there till Monday night.
Yeah.
So Burning Man.
So to Burning Man.
What a hell of a trip.
Thank you to you, brother. I mean, I said this on the drive, but I'll say it publicly. I'll scream from the mountaintops. There is not another person in this world I think I could have done that trip with. I mean,
Likewise, we were meant to do that trip together.
I tell you what, that will either bring your friends closer or shred them apart. And I'm grateful to have a friend like you, because that was that was a journey and a half. And we
were already close, and that trip definitely brought us closer together for sure.
Oh, dude, what a hell of a trip! That was a hell of a fucking trip. And if you want to come with us next year, no. You can come, but
I don't want to ride to that Winnebago Bray. I'm getting my own damn RV. Screw that thing.
By the time next year comes around, you'll be like, all right, I'll meet you in Vegas.
I'll meet you there. Yeah, you take care of all the problems again. I'm going to pull a Joe and meet you there.
Well, I think, I was going to sell it, but I figured why not? At this point, so much shit's already been replaced. I'll just replace, some of the other stuff and kind of pimp it out a little bit more.
We did the hard work. It's all fine.
Yeah, I mean, honest to God, past this point, I will put the subwoofer in it. I'll put some cool LEDs in it, and there's not
fine now.
So, yeah, I mean, honestly,
did all the repairs on the way there.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna kind of maintain it. We think of some other cool trips to take it on or something.
You know who you need to gift a thing to next year is my brother. That way you have a full-on mechanic at all
Tyler,
times.
If you listen to this, I'm saying this with the sincerity from my heart center, dude. You got a ticket waiting for you, meals waiting for you, gas paid for. What? Fuck, you want a midget stripper on the way, dude? Done. I don't give a fuck what you want, brother. But you earned it. That trip wouldn't have been possible without you. I mean, holy cow. The amount of things that came together exactly when it needed to come together
was true. The amount of times things went wrong, but then the things that came together to fix those problems at the right time was pretty
Some of the breakdowns we just happened to be at the perfect place for them to break down, to be able to limp it to an AutoZone or whatever. And
we broke down at Hoover Dam in a spot that we could have phone signal. We were coming straight out of the desert. And
there's no phone signal until like that moment, maybe 5 minutes before we got signal.
Right there. And then he was able to wake up, thank God,
Thank
at that
God.
time.
Because we had so
get
much
it.
adrenaline going, it would have taken forever to figure that out.
Sorry.
That seems appropriate as well.
That's what it felt like half of the time
Yeah.
in there.
But I mean, yeah, that was something I do think I'll be telling my kids about. And no matter if we run it back next year, which dare I say, I'm already excited for the next time. But
already excited.
It was something that, words are clunky and fail to encapsulate how beautiful an experience that was. And it's Burn, baby.
Burning Man. It's for everybody. Get out there, make it happen if you can, but be prepared for everything along the way.
Yeah. So, hey guys, if you found this episode to be insightful, enjoyable, entertaining, share it with people you know, share it with people you love. We are just so happy to be able to share this experience with you guys. And it's crazy the amount of response from our circles with interest in Burning Man after this. So hopefully this is a little bit of a lighthouse for you and give you some information, give you some laughs, but hopefully some inspiration for getting out there too, because I think that is, I understand why it's so hard to get to now.
I understand now. I understand why they say it's a journey to get there, but it means so much once you make it.
Once you get there,
once you get there, everything it's just a deep sigh of relief, you know.
Unless you get a fucking helicopter, you know, and you just do the rich.
Unless you're Paris Hilton and you just fly in, you got everything taken care of. Jump on an R card, DJ, get my shower.
Yeah.
Fly out of there.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's got a different route in life, I guess, and
can't hate them because they're having a better time.
Yeah,
you know.
We got tons of other stories and pictures and stuff.
They'll be coming out on the future podcasts, I'm sure. Like, this isn't. I mean, we tipped the iceberg of all the crap that happened out there. You know.
Yeah, I think we hit a lot of it though. So, all right, guys. Well, hey, we love you, and see you on the next one.
Peace.